deal with proofs. Proofs are not the easiest thing in the world. I'm not saying they're extremely difficult, and I will make sure we do plenty of the same kind so that you can get the feel of it. However, they are things that people struggle with. So the first thing we're going to talk about today are some properties of equality and properties of congruence that we can use in our proofs as reasons to justify our statements, okay? Everybody ready? Oh, all right. So we're going to start first with the addition property of equality. And basically what the addition property of equality says is if you have an equation, and we're going to use variables, okay, to represent some stuff. I can put some numbers in if we need to. But if we have something that says some number A is equal to some number B, okay, like 2 equals 2. Then the addition property of equality says my equation is going to stay the same as long as I add exactly the same thing to both sides of the equation. So what I would do is then say, okay, well, A plus C would have to equal B plus C. If A and B are the same, and then I add C to both of them, that equation is still going to be the same equation. Go ahead. The subtraction property of equality is essentially the same thing, except for this time we're subtracting. So if we have some number A equal to some number B, then the subtraction property says that I can take and I can do A minus C and B minus C, and they will still be the same because I'm subtracting the same thing from both parts of my equation. It'll make a little bit more sense once we put some stuff to it besides variables. Multiplication property of equality, just like when you're solving equations. You know how sometimes you add things to both sides of the equation, sometimes you subtract, sometimes you multiply, sometimes you divide. That's what these properties are doing. So the multiplication property of equality says if I have some number A equal to some number B, then if I do A times C, then that should equal B times C. So far, so good? All right. Same thing with division. We're going to divide both sides of the equation by the same thing. So if I have A equals B, then A divided by C is going to equal to B divided by C. Think about your equation. Think about something that looks like this, like 3x equals 12. If I asked you to solve it for x, what would you do? Divide. That's the division property. That we use the division property to solve equations. That's all this is. We're just using variables right now. Does that make sense? All right. Then we have the distributive property. Okay, you've heard of this before. When you have a number on the outside of a parenthesis, and you take that number and you multiply it by both terms in the parenthesis, then it's going to look like this. So if you have A times B plus C, then what you do is you distribute. Then you would have A times B is going to equal to A times C. Okay, you distribute. You take that A that's on the outside of the parenthesis and you multiply it by both terms inside the parenthesis. Anybody have any questions so far? We use the distributive property when we combine or when we solve equations too. Then you have the substitution. Think about what it means to substitute. When you're playing football and you substitute one player in for another, what do? You switch them. You replace one with another one that's equivalent, right? So for the substitution property, if A equals B, then what it says is A may be substituted by B in any expression or equation. Okay, if A is equal to B, then you can take and you can replace A with B with any in any expression or equation. Then you have the reflexive property. Think about a reflection. When you look in the mirror, you see the reflection. It is what it is, right? You see you. Nothing changes. So the reflexive property basically says, that some number A is equal to itself. Okay? Some number A is equal to itself, and that did not write. Hopefully it will catch up, either that or it's about to shut off. So in that blank, you just need to put A equals A. A equals A. Let me disconnect and try to reconnect. See if that helps. Nope. Let me try this again. Hold on.